Moon landing, achievement or conspiracy? On July 20th, 1969, humanity was told it achieved a monumental feat, landing on the moon. The world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the lunar surface. But for some, the question lingers: did we really land on the moon? Or was it all an elaborate hoax? The US was in the midst of the Cold War, racing against the Soviet Union for space supremacy. Was the moon landing a desperate attempt to show global dominance? Some conspiracy theorists argue that the landing was staged to win the space race and cement American power. One of the primary points of contention is the flag that Armstrong planted on the moon. The flag appears to ripple, despite the moon having no atmosphere. How could it flutter in a vacuum? Then there's the question of the lighting. In the photographs, shadows seem to fall in multiple directions, even though the sun was the only light source. Could there have been additional lights to create the illusion of sunlight? And what about the photos themselves? Some claim the sharpness and clarity of the pictures taken on the moon are too perfect. With the technology of the 1960s, how could such high-quality images be captured? Further skepticism arises from the absence of stars in the photos. Why would the bright surface of the moon drown out distant stars, yet not a single one appears in any of the lunar shots? Another issue is the radiation in space. The Van Allen radiation belt is a region of intense radiation surrounding Earth. Theorists argue that no human could survive passing through it without being exposed to lethal doses. The astronauts, however, seem to have crossed this belt without any ill effects. Could NASA have faked the entire mission to avoid exposing the risks? And what about the missing moon rocks? While the astronauts brought back samples, some argue that the rocks were not what NASA claimed. Could they have been created in a lab? The Soviets, the US's biggest rivals, were monitoring every move. If the landing had been a hoax, would they have stayed silent? Some argue that the Soviets would have immediately exposed the fraud. But others believe that the Cold War competition between the two superpowers might have deterred them from speaking out. A key question arises: why hasn't anyone gone back to the moon? The last Apollo mission was in 1972, and since then, no human has set foot on the lunar surface. Why? Could the technology simply have been lost over time? Or is there something more to the story? The moon landing, as glorious as it seemed, continues to be a subject of intense debate. Could it have been fake to advance political agendas and inspire national pride? Over the years, more and more people have questioned the evidence. The idea of a hoax is persistent, fed by inconsistencies and unanswered questions. Theories about the faked landing have only grown stronger as technology advances, making it easier to analyze the footage and images from 1969. Could the entire mission have been staged in a Hollywood studio with meticulous attention to detail? The grainy footage and the iconic image of Armstrong stepping onto the moon have remained embedded in our cultural memory. But if it was a hoax, how did they manage to pull it off? Was the truth about the moon landing hidden for decades, or is it the conspiracy itself that has taken on a life of its own? We may never know the truth behind the Apollo missions, but the moon landing hoax theory lingers as a testament to the power of doubt and the search for answers in a world of secrets. The debate will continue as long as there are questions left unanswered, and as long as people wonder, did we really land on the moon, or was it all a fabrication?